that is to really understand the whole constitutional preambles of, the BIA's, mechanism, and, our true preamble, which is Lakota, inherent sovereignty. Well, the question will always say this, that the only way a nation can be, conquered is unless our women's hearts are on the ground. Well, they haven't ever made that, conquered avenue known for the First Nations people in the Midwest, the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho. And so, am I confident in the BIA? No, I never will. Why? Because they love to lie. They're only a puppet regime with the federal government. And however you're going to understand to take that method of reality on, that's up to you to decide. I'm not trying to fill you full of, how do you want to say it in white man's term?
Hogwash.
Hogwash. Okay? I don't want to use that. I'm giving you the best definition of what I researched throughout my 50 years on Earth. And I have learned nothing but anger, distrust, discomfort, and hate because of what they have done to my people. Now, do I know that my people are still in existence because of who we are? Yes. And I'll say this to a majority of the people that are understanding, their educational phonics, to learn and become who they are for a future that gives them the destiny by their own choice. Mie malakota. Na woyuk chakile na lakota wa akile mitcho. Dueni het choshni. So oyate tchokcha na haki tchokcha kehena echa. Oa pikilena. Lena mitchoshni. Wichoye kile. Na haki lena oyate mitcho piku. Hena upi hanta. Was ake kihe aiko ake. He wak hecha. Chawash ake kile tohan makhan kata tuat choksha egna kiktehanta. He chawo ki he iki chakte. Ho etaha oyate glena kashka iona ha etaha wak ke he glihuni. Ho hechus e wag la ke kile chichupi. Pilama pelo hokahe. In a figure of speech, the best way I can describe it in English pronunciation, because our language never was written. It was done in pictograph. But our language came from the animals. We know that, but they don't. So the question would be, how many of the people in the populated areas in the education fields and, even in the day and age with the federal government, states and locals and counties, you name it, how many of them really know about the First Nations people? Well, I'll give you that answer, truthfully. 3/4 of the populated areas that once had the Red Nations as an inhabitant-free, living-based people are no longer, acceptable in it. They're no longer appearance in that inhabited area. Why? Because of genocidal warfare through colonial practices. And so the language, on the other hand, is living proof that we've always been here, we're still going to be here, and we're not going anywhere. And that's the greatest way to really enhance that in a truthful mechanism, because the First Nations people of Turtle Island, from where we come from in the Midwest of the Black Hills and elsewhere, this whole continent wasn't populated with 557 tribes, which were down to 246 tribes. That's almost annihilation, because you took away 3/4 of the populated inhabitants and you dispersed it and replaced it with what? Nothing. So 2/3 of my people's language is at extinct. Unfortunately, the Lakota people still have theirs with a lot of the Midwestern tribes, still struggling to try to keep fairness and a balance alive. And this is what the educational field forget to teach. Now, I would be talking out of the other end of my backside if I didn't speak my language truthfully and openly, because our language never had cursing, gestures of life. And it is true. But we try to give a pronunciation to it that gives validity to the understandings of why our language has to be kept in this day and age in 2010. children are our future. So that's what people always talk about. So are our elders. But how many pay attention to them? None. Maybe 1 in a million. And so, culture is people that have a more welcome extended virtue of understanding matriarchal value system. Remember, matriarchal meaning a woman's point of view. Why? I'll give you an example. Mother Earth is the only woman still out there wearing a dress. And she has never taken that off to replace it with a pair of pants. So today, in 2010, we're talking about a patriarchal lifestyle where everybody's converted into something. Whether it's faith, dress codes, even the pants. We have the women wearing them. Why? Because we have not administered any preamble of goodwill teaching. In other words, the common value system inside a lovable home. That is what's missing. Now that is cultural genocide at the hands of the federal government, county governments, and state governments. Why? Because the corrupted politicians protect every corporation that takes the livelihood of the well-being and replaces it with Burger Kings, McDonald's, you name it, all the franchises that don't give you a happy, healthy understanding of a value system. Instead, they want to replace it with Ronald McDonald's and the Burger King with the happy face. All these kind of things are out there. This is what America epitomizes in people in populated areas. So once that value system is restored, then and only then can we save our future before we self-destruct. And when self-destruct, becomes an effect, that's going to be the end of mankind. But unfortunately, I can't say that too much about my people because we're still truthful people hanging on to what little cultural and understandings we have to share to people to revitalize and re-educate themselves and get back in balance with Mother Earth and the Great Spirit, which is purified naturally. But, we're never going to get that opportunity because we're always an unworthy welcome. I've proven that time and time again. Wherever I go, when it's populated with the Caucasian race, full of his vulgar, power of display of control. When a native comes in with braids or long hair and just looks as red as me, all of a sudden the red flares come up. Uh-oh, there's an Indian in town. What does that mean? Trouble. We're going to hear the sound of the tom-tom. Boom, 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 boom. Hollywood. Okay? But, this is the terminology I'm saying. Because how can I teach you something if I'm not going to be called upon? I can answer any question to the validity of what you want. And everything that is spelled out as a preamble, as an open sentiment, has this government and has the BIA really worked for Native people? No, it hasn't. It's only a capitalistic control of a regime that depowers its process of converting my people into an existing race that doesn't have a culture. If this is the culture you want, then welcome to America.